I want to take this discussion out of the studio. Jyotirmoy Sharma in Hyderabad, and we've got Cho Ramaswamy joining us from Chennai. Let me go across to Jyotirmoy first. You've been studying this data. We've also been speaking to the enumerators. They say one of the things that worked in the DMK's favor was that it conducted a better organized campaign, that their campaign connected much better. Vadivelu's, the comedian, drew huge crowds. Their rallies seemed more lively, and people just seemed more enthusiastic about the DMK campaign, whereas they felt that the AIADMK only had Jaya as the starring campaigner, and that too made a bit of a difference. Jyotirmoy Sharma, your analysis.
I think extending what Professor Dipankar Gupta has said, I think the Tamil Nadu election is about the lack of alternatives. We discussed this in an earlier program of ours. The voter, whether urban or rural, was asked to choose between two difficult choices. I mean, both parties are corrupt, both parties have indulged in all sorts of promises to the electorate in the past, freebies and so on and so forth. So when the voting takes place, whether it's an urban voter who tends to be more self-righteous and gets agitated about corruption, or the rural voter who says both parties are equally corrupt, equally hopeless, so how do I vote? And I think in the case of the DMK, what's worked in its favor is the fact that the DMK's record in terms of distributing freebies and implementing their promises has been slightly better than the AIADMK. I think a second factor that might have worked in the DMK's favor is the rather ironical figure of Jaya talking about corruption. I mean, it's like giving garlic to Dracula. And so you have Jaya crying hoarse about corruption and making it almost a single issue in the Tamil Nadu election. I think that would have also worked to the detriment of the AIADMK. That the single issue that they highlighted, both vis-a-vis the centre as well as the state government, was this whole business of corruption. And to an extent, there would also have been, as Professor Sanjay Kumar pointed out, an element of a sympathy factor within the Dalits, seeing Raja as being targeted and so on and so forth. So I think overall the lack of a choice, the lack of an alternative, and then being asked to choose between two non-alternatives is what probably can explain this turnaround.
All right, that's very interesting. I want to go across to Cho Ramaswamy and get his sense on why the Jaya, why AIADMK seems to have lost some ground and the DMK seems to have recovered very strongly in the last 15-20 days of campaigning.
Well, first of all, let me apologize for my bad throat. Number two, I refuse to proceed on the basis that what we have before us is the election result, final result declared by the Election Commission. This is a post-poll analysis, a projection, and I don't agree with it. It could go wrong. Previously exit polls have gone wrong, and this could go wrong. I do not agree that the people had a Hobson's choice where corruption was concerned between DMK and AIADMK. Karunanidhi filed a dozen cases and no against Jaya. She has been acquitted in 11 of them, not one or two. In 11 of them, the courts have acquitted her. And in 2001 and 2006, she gave such a clean government that Karunanidhi, in spite of all his attempts, was not able to file a single case against her or any other minister in her cabinet. As far as the campaigning was concerned, Jaya drew the most crowds. We have done our analysis, of course, opinion poll, our correspondents. I would be surprised if the AIADMK does not get a comfortable majority on its own. I expect no for the AIADMK alliance. The DMK men are thoroughly shattered now. Only this analysis, this pre-poll projection would give some kind of a hope to them. Otherwise, they have lost all hope. I think that, of course, money has played a part. The last 3-4 days, there has been large-scale distribution of money by the DMK. But this time around, the people have started saying, after they have looted so much, let them pay, we don't mind. We are not going to vote on that basis.
Okay.
Earlier, there was some honesty Earlier there was some honesty in this dishonesty. Now this time around the people have seen the DMK's game, and I think even if they had accepted money, they would not vote by it. I disagree with your projection.